right, welcome you guys. We are so excited that you're tuned in tonight for our first parental involvement this year. We're going to be talking about digital citizenship. So we're so glad to have you guys, and we're going to go ahead and introduce ourselves before we start anything else. I'll let my supervisor go first.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you guys for taking just an hour out of your evening while you're cooking, while you're driving home from soccer practice to tune in and learn more about how to navigate the digital world with your students. My name is Dr. Sahara Haney, and I am happy to be here.
And my name is Nikki Washington. I'm a technology facilitator in our district, and we're excited to have you guys here tonight.
I'm Felicia Gath. I am also a district facilitator, and I'm excited to have this conversation with you all.
Hello, everyone. My name is Angelica Johnson Smith, and I'm also a technology facilitator here in the district, and I'm excited to be here with you all today.
All right, my name is Brittany Davenport. I'm also a district technology facilitator, and I'm also excited to be here with you today.
Hi, I'm Melinda Bailey, and I'm a technology facilitator with the EdTech team, and I'm happy to talk about digital citizenship.
Hello, guys. My name is Shara Coates. I'm a district technology facilitator as well. We're happy to have you guys tonight.
All right. So you guys are going to go ahead and get started. Like I said again, welcome. Thank you for coming to our event. We're so excited to have you. This is our first event, and you are kicking off our first event of our Digital Citizenship Week. If your students or your kids haven't come home and told you about Digital Citizenship Week, yes, we are celebrating that this week here in East Baton Rouge Parish. We want to make sure it's a big deal because it's very important for our students to practice good digital citizenship and also for parents to be involved in this process. So this is why we're having this discussion tonight, to help you guys have these tough conversations and provide guidance to your learners as they navigate this world of this digital age of using all of these different technology devices at such a young age. So that's the whole purpose of us doing this week. At the end of the session today, I'm going to share with you some links to the resources. I'll give you links to the website that outlines the events that we are participating in this week with our students. Also, if you have a artsy, crafty kid that can design things, we do have a contest. They can win some awesome prizes if they participate in our poster contest. All they have to do is create a digital citizenship poster, and they have a chance of winning some awesome prizes and getting it displayed around our parish. So we'll provide you with all of those resources at the end of the session. If you have any questions at any given time, we're watching the chat. Definitely make sure you place it in the chat, and we will answer those questions for you. You do want to engage and interact with you guys throughout this whole session. So we're going to go ahead and get started in just a moment. Let me do a little rearranging. Hold on. All right. All right. So if you guys are in the chat, go ahead and drop something in the chat to let us know you're here. If we're not talking to anyone, you could give us just your first name or just say hello, hi, something. But interact with us in the chat for just a second. And then while you're doing that, we'll go ahead and get started with our session for today, because we do have some wonderful topics that we want to discuss and make sure that we discuss it with you guys. And as you're doing that, we're going to go ahead and get into our first discussion. So to my panelists, we want to talk about the future trends and the emerging technologies that we see are coming up, and how does that affect our students. So I'll start off by saying, guess what? ChatGPT is here. Students are using it. We want them to be safe with that. I guess I should say use it, but use it safely. Definitely don't use it to do your work for you, because you don't want these programs to take away your thinking. Definitely use it as a support, but definitely don't use it to plagiarize anything or do anything like that, which the students don't have access to at school, but still they do have access to it at home. So we do have, that is some emerging technology. Anybody else have any emerging technology that parents should be aware about?
I'm going to piggyback off of what you said. The Chat GPT, all of the AI that we can use to develop these shortcuts, it's a good thing, but it can also, not serve its purpose, its intended purpose, if the students aren't using it correctly. I know that sometimes when I'm in a crunch and I need to answer an email really quick, it's really easy to run it through there, but I have to remember that, hey, you know how to write. So, taking the skills that I have and using it with the skills that they're giving me now with AI and everything, it enhances it. But we have to make sure that we're having our students to use this responsibly.
And I just think that at this point in life, technology is so prevalent in our society, in our classrooms. We just have to teach our kids how to use these powers for good and not evil.
And we also have to keep in mind that this is a computer and we are people, and that computer can be very wrong. So we have to make sure that they can distinguish what's right and what's wrong from these things, because just because it's AI does not mean that it is law. It doesn't mean that it's facts.
And ditto to what all the ladies said, I will say, think back to whenever calculators first were introduced in the classroom. I'm sure it had the same reception of, oh my God, you don't know how to do math anymore. No, right? We started implementing it and incorporating it more. And you also had them show their work. So it wasn't no longer just relying on this one tool. You had to also prove and even made teachers reevaluate how they assess their students also.
It brings in that evaluate, like you want your students to be critical thinkers. You want your children to be critical thinkers, and it's forcing them to become critical thinkers, because you have to read what that AI puts out and make sure that it's actually something that's true and that's facts.
And then show them how to cross-check, right? Being a former ELA teacher, that is one of the skills you had to always reinforce with your kids. They want to go to Google something really quickly and use that in their paper when it could have been false, right? So the same with Chat GPT, we have to still teach our students to cross-check anything that pops up on that platform, as well as just only use it as a reference, not as a copy and paste kind of situation.
All right. Some other trending topics with technology. It's been around a while. Kids love it, especially I see it a lot during Christmas time. They have those virtual reality headsets. So what do you guys think about those, and what precautions can parents take if they're letting their students utilize those?
That's what I was getting ready to say. One of the things that I see a lot now, especially on TikTok and all these other apps, is the AI generated photos. So it's almost like you're living in a virtual world. You get to create yourself how you want to look. You can create yourself years from now in different professions and all these different headshots. But we have to think about where they're storing this information. We have to be mindful of that, especially with the kids, because it's fun. I know I created myself. Girl, I was fine. But I had to make sure that wherever I created it, I had to think about it. Angelica, where are these pictures going to? So we want to, ensure or make sure that our students are using it responsibly. If they're going to make something and they're going to create something, that these websites that they're using have been vetted, and they're not just some, black market website that's actually keeping the students' information, because we know that photographs have metadata in it. And, that metadata carries all the way back to the origination of the picture. So we have to be careful with that too.
I was going to say the same thing because I know right now they're floating around on social media, the pictures of Beyonce and Chris Brown together. And so, like you said, you just never know how people will use that, especially because of the scammers that they have out there. They are always on top of the latest and greatest techniques, and they are using people's identity, their pictures, and everything to do all types of crimes. So that's another reason why you don't want that, because they can, even though we may be talking about a young child, like Angelica said, they can age that child and create an ID for that child. So we have to make sure that we are aware of what our children are doing on the when they're on technology or any device that they use.
Okay, we have a question. So what age do we recommend for the headsets then?
So if I had to just interject, I don't have any children, so of course I'm going to let the parents talk after I'm done. But I will say it's all about teaching them at any age how to responsibly use it, right? You don't want to say, oh, you're 7 years old or 9 years old. No, this is only for whenever you turn 16. Because when they turn 16, like they're going to be green. They're going to be completely naive to what that world is. So I think it would be great to just kind of fold in or kind of slowly gradually release them to using this platform with some oversight, with some overview, as well as letting them be exposed to something without them just being pushed out, kind of baby feeding them whatever the platform is.
And then just monitor your kids when you're on there, because it can cause health concerns. If you feel like they're getting dizzy, they have headaches, things like that, then you may need to take them to the doctor. We're not doctors, but definitely just monitor them. I know sometimes I get lightheaded after keeping the headsets on too long. So you definitely will need to monitor your child's health when using it. So use it at your discretion, of course. But this is a hot topic, you guys, but we're going to move on to the next topic because we want to make sure we cover everything, because we have a lot of information we want to get out to you guys tonight, and we want to make sure we discuss them all. So up next, we want to talk about online privacy. First of all, what is online privacy? We define it as the level of privacy protection an individual has while connected to the internet. So, of course, we want to keep our children safety. We want to keep them safe and keep their information private online. So we're going to go into a deep discussion about that. And before we get started, one thing that I always see, and my coworkers, y'all, I don't know if y'all paid attention, but when I post my little handsome son, if you notice he have his little school sweatshirt on, I put a little heart or something over that to protect him online. So you guys, let's talk about the online privacy and safety.
I was going to talk about that, Nikki, because oftentimes I see parents posting and like they're excited. Back to school time, back to school fit with the new shoes, the new outfit. And you see the school, the private school, or even the public school's logo right there. That is giving away private information. Even the little back to school signs, right? Whenever your baby first day of school, first day of fifth grade, you have the name of the school, name of the teacher, their age, their birthday, all of this identifying information. Even though you're sharing it with family and friends, people can easily copy or save that picture and replicate it anywhere. And you never know. You may have had a friend from high school that's on your Facebook page that you haven't spoken to in months, years, etc.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, even if you're not friends with them on Facebook, a lot of times we have this thing where we have to tag the school or we have to tag our location, and all of those tags lead back to that one photograph. So if you've already tagged in that we're down the street at the park and the park is in your neighborhood, and so the neighborhood school must be XYZ, and they look at the uniform. Now we know all of the locations and we know where that child is. And that's very important, just the small things. So just protecting those kids online is very important, especially with those small identifying, pieces.
And also teaching your children not to give that information out to their friends online. So sometimes you might not post it. You're very careful. You don't post anything, but your children have these Instagram and these Facebooks and these TikToks, and they're telling all of these unknown people who they think are their friends, they're giving them all this information. So making sure you have those tough conversations with your children and make sure that they know not to share that same information that we're telling you not to share.
But also making sure of your settings, because if you set your profile to do public, then you've opened it up to any and everybody. Like I said, if a person is trying to find out information or trying to get stuff, there is always a will. If there's a will, there's a way. But we have to try to make it as difficult as possible for them. And we sometimes have to have real-time conversations with students, with our children, because they need to know the dangers. Like I said, I know we like to keep our children green for as long as we can, but the world is not green. And so we have to give them real talks about the dangers and the hazards that are out there so that they'll know what to do if they are faced with any of those situations.
So Tanya, I definitely think so. Child predators, all of that, they lure these kids in by offering them pizza. I've watched this on news shows. They'll offer them pizza. They go and meet them on Roblox, things like that. These games that we need to monitor as well. Our kids love Roblox. They love Minecraft. But there's adults on there pretending to be kids to lure our kids there. So that's why it's very important to protect our students' online safety, because they don't know who they're talking to. And a lot of our kids are just being innocent, thinking they're talking to another kid, giving that information. But the whole time is that it's an adult trying to lure a kid in. So also monitor that with your students as well.
And I know my colleagues are going to laugh at me when I say what I'm about to say, but watching Law and Order,
Oh my
SV,
goodness.
I knew it.
it honestly does give you lots of different tips, or it gives you an opportunity to see how criminals think and the different tricks that they're putting out there. And so, like I said, I love it. I'm addicted to it, but I also learn so much about ways that predators are out there trying to kidnap or traffic or whatever it is with young girls and young boys. And so we just have to be really mindful, and also making children aware of their surroundings, because they're always on those devices when they're walking and when they're out in public and stuff like that. And now all you have to do is be close enough to a person so that your information can be exchanged with each other. And that's another way that they can get in contact with them and try to, in some way or another, attract them to them so that they can do whatever they're doing.
All right. Good discussion, you ladies. So let's move on to the next topic. I love it. All right. Parental control tools. I know as teachers, we like to be in control, but as parents, we got to take that control back too. So what does that mean? This is software tools that allow you to monitor and limit what your child see and do online. I know you don't want to be a smotherer, but I am. My son knows, he's in there. He's listening. It's not him that I'm afraid of. It's the other people out there. So I have to protect him from the weirdos out there on the World Wide Web, because I don't know who they are and what's their intentions. So as parents, we do need to set those tools to just protect our kids, and also give them some guidance on how long they should be on it. Because on the weekend, I would be honest, my son, at 2-3 in the morning, if I don't tell him to go to bed, he's still playing that game or doing whatever. So we do have to set some limits and controls on those devices. So I'm gonna let everybody else chime in and tell us, how do you feel about the parental controls, and give the parents some guidance on what could they use to control the features on their kids' phones.
I think it's important for the parental controls, because I do, like Nikki said, be a smotherer, but don't be so much of a smotherer, because you can't learn how to use technology if you don't use it. If you just say you can't go on this, you can't do this, you can't do that, the minute they get to do it, they're going to do everything that you told them not to do. So you have to let them experience using it to learn how to use it. So just make a balance for you as a parent as well.
And I'll say, I'm not a smotherer. Like I said, I may periodically pick up a cell phone or something and say, put your password in, or put your passcode in it, and just kind of scroll through. And I have never used any of the parental guidance things, but I don't have a problem with saying, hand over the device and let me see who you've been talking to, what y'all been saying, all of that kind of stuff. But like Shar said, if we keep putting so many parameters on them, they don't know how to handle it. And then also you make it more enticing to them, like, why mama don't want me to look at that website, or why mama don't want me to do that? Must be some good stuff on there. So also you have to make sure that the way that you are having the conversations with your children about the hazards of certain websites, letting them know why you're preventing them from going there, and what it actually is, because eventually they're going to find out either way. Their classmates may already be on it. So just be able to say, it's just not appropriate content for you at this time. So,
and then the content may be appropriate, It may be a good website, but they need boundaries on the amount of time that they actually spend. So there are some parental controls that will lock it out. You can't get on the internet after this time. I know back before in my time, y'all, because my kids are old now, 17 and 21, I just changed the Wi-Fi. You can get the password when XYZ happens. But see, now they have it to where you can do this digitally. We were operating with a Nintendo DS back in the day. That was the big hot commodity that you had to put on lockdown so that they couldn't go to the games that you didn't want them to play. But now it's more it's more technology out there. But I will say, as having children now that are older, because we set those guidelines in place, and even though it was old school with the locking down, we gave them a reason as to why this has to happen. The website may be good or it may not be appropriate, but this is why it's not appropriate. See? And it piqued their curiosity as much, and now that they're older, they are able to self-regulate on their own, and put those best practices into play for themselves.
Okay, I just want to say to all my new people in the chat, welcome to our chat. Thank you for attending our digital citizenship session with our parents. I hope you're getting some great information. Feel free to chime in the chat as with the other parents. If you have any questions you want to ask us, please drop them in the chat. We're going to continue this discussion. But before we go on, I want to add on to what Angelica said, because there's now an app that you can control your Wi-Fi. So I don't have to change the password. I can put a pause on it and pause all your devices, can't connect to it. So parents, come on, get up with the game. You can do that instead of changing your password. You can pause the Wi-Fi connection. They need the Wi-Fi connection. But you guys, let the parents know what different parental controls or tools they have on the different devices, like the Androids and the iPhones, before we move on to the next topic.
So I don't have an Android. Team iPhone over here. So there are a million, not a millions, but there's so many parental controls in your settings. So if you have an iPhone, you can go to settings and go to parental controls, or go to I think it's parental controls. You can go in and set settings for your children. So you can set it up. You put a password in. You can tell them how long they can be on a device. You can tell them how long they can be on games, how long they can be on entertainment, how long they can be on music. You can set all of those different things. So go to your iPhones. Nikki doesn't like that. Go to your iPhone, go to your settings, and they have parental controls right there. And there's so many. You have to kind of play with it to see what you really want to set for your child, but go through and explore.
Well, Brittany, I have my son an iPhone so that I can control his settings.
And also go to our favorite university of Google and look up ratings for the different apps, and to see which one parents like the most and which ones are the easiest to manipulate, because that's something important too. You don't want to put something on your phone and then you don't know how to control it or operate it, and now everything is locked out. So make sure that you do some research behind the apps and things that you place on your kids' devices, so that you'll know what to do and how to do it. Like Nikki says, stay up on the game.
And we have links to these resources at the end that will provide you at the end, so you can go and look at all of those if you don't know how to set the parental control. And we do even have Family Link for Google, the Android phones that you can utilize to do the same things that you could do on the iPhone. We have a link for all of those resources at the end. Anybody else have anything else? Because we do need to go to the next topic. Yes, go ahead.
Sorry. My kids are really young. I have a 4-year-old and an almost 2-year-old. So right now my parental controls consist of using YouTube Kids to make sure it's kid friendly. It doesn't have as many ads as the regular YouTube, but also setting a timer on the app so I can monitor how long my child is on the screen. But also I think one of the biggest parental controls at this, yes, Team Android. I think one of the biggest parental controls is just being present and really being able to monitor and learn alongside with your student, regardless of what age they are. But again, my experience is like, I'm just starting out with all of this because I have a 4-year-old and she just really uses my phone. And my almost 2-year-old really loves to go to the Google Play Store and look at the Monopoly game. So that's what we do.
All right, so we'll be going on to our next topic. Kind of already spoke about it. We'll stay here just a minute or two. But this is very important. That's why we put it here as a topic. It's very important to balance your screen time for your learners. And what do we mean by that? Using the screens in a way that feels healthy, purposeful. Because, like right now, I've been looking at this computer all day. We just got off work. And guess what? I have a headache. That's because I've been looking at this computer all day. We have to give ourselves a break and our students, our kids, a break from these devices for their vision's sake as well as for their health. So you guys want to chime in on this topic?
I think for, like you said, the headache, right? Having, of course, blue light glasses, I think they make them available and accessible for all ages. And then, of course, in the classrooms, we tell teachers to use the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, look 20 minutes, 20 feet away for 20 seconds, just to kind of help evaluate or kind of reassess their brains. And then to kind of piggyback off of what Melinda said, I love that an iPhone, you can set a timer of how long or how many minutes you would like to spend a day on an app. I love TikTok. I'm a millennial. Like, I love social media. So I know I'm very self-aware of myself having to go in. I went into my settings and set a time span per day that I have. And once it reaches that, I can of course bypass it, but I have to have the overall wherewithal to fight that and not bypass that timer. So you can do the same thing for your students, for your kids, I should say, or even for yourself. So that little tip in your iPhones they're great to have.
And then also just remember too, with balancing the screen time, it's just healthy. I know it's not safe at sometimes. We have to go outside with our kids, but make them go outside and play. Take them to the park. Give them other things to do then, because I feel like if they're just so connected to that device, they get so angry when you take it. Like some of the students or kids that get so angry because they just have a connection to that device. So sometimes it's just good to take a healthy break and give them time out from those devices so that they know those devices are not your life. You have school, you can read books, you can go play, you can talk with your friends, you can go meet new friends, we can go to the mall, we can go to the movies, things like that. I think that's healthy for kids to remove themselves, even adults. I do that too. I remove myself sometimes for devices for my own mental health.
I think also because of the devices, our children have lost the skill of communicating verbally with people and being able to make connections with people. And that's something that is very important in the world, period, because you don't live in society with just you and your device. So they need to be able to have conversations. And I know my boys have played sports and all different types of activities that they've been a part of. But you come across so many kids that don't even acknowledge adults, that don't, that can't hold a 2-minute conversation with you because they don't have the language or they don't know how to relate to other people. And that's something that regardless to what you do, even if you're working from home, you need to be able to communicate and relate to other people and make those connections if you want to make money, let's just say. So, like I said, I think that we need to take time to really start teaching our kids how to have conversations with each other and how to be able to talk through situations and problem solve and things instead of always going to their device for their downtime.
Something that worked with my daughter and we did it like for 3rd and 4th grade. She wasn't allowed to have her phone during the week. And it's just because I feel like they don't recognize that as being a privilege. They think that it's something that they're supposed to have. And I mean, it's our fault as parents because my daughter has had an iPad since she was 1. So, I mean, that's a part of her life, So I'm trying to get her to see that technology and having devices is a privilege. It's not something that you just supposed to do. So this year we're like, okay, if you don't get a mark for the day, you can have your device for 2 hours. It's gotten out of hand because she be having it all day sometimes. We got to get back to the basics. But I just saw a difference in her when she didn't have it. Like, I mean, even if you want to watch a movie with your child, anything that you want to do, they like, I want to get on the device. So when we didn't have that, we didn't have that problem. So that's also an option. I've had people to say, oh, well, that's too strict. She should be able to use it during the day. But sometimes you just have to do what works best in your house.
They
But
told
don't
me
you?
that too, Shar. I'm strict.
Yeah. But don't you see a difference in yourself when you don't have it too?
Yeah.
Because I can sit and watch a movie and scroll, and then I have to wait. What happened? Go back and
Right.
still scroll and rewind, and but you also see a difference in yourself too when you take that time away.
Yeah, I'm trying to make her be more like me. See, me, I go 2 or 3 hours and I'm social media, everything down. And then I put it down and people are like, girl, you ain't see that I said something you thought. Like, I have those moments where I'm all in and I put it down and I'm all out because I'm the type of person who I enjoy whatever I'm doing. So if I'm doing social media at the time, I'm enjoying it. If I'm hanging with my friends or doing something else, I enjoy the moments. They have some people who don't enjoy anything because they're always in their phone.
Mm. Yeah, and that's just about being present and enjoying experiences that you're having, and they will miss them because, like Angelica said, you miss stuff that's on the television. Even if you rewind it 5 times, you still missed it because you had a ding on your phone.
All right. So let's move on from balancing the screen time to a kind of heavy topic here. So cyberbullying. We've all heard the word bullying, but I don't think we hear enough about cyberbullying that exists. So what is that? The use of electric communication to bully a person. And this is normally by the kids go on Instagram. They say they go in your DMs. Is that what they say, y'all? Go in your DMs or your messages, whatever. I don't know. So they're sending messages to threaten or intimidate students. I know we are all former classroom teachers. We probably experienced it at some given time. Whatever happened at home, it's social media. They've went under each other's comments, or they did send them a personal message, and it carried on into the school, and it may have caused a fight, or it may have caused a student not even to want to come to school or afraid, things like that. So let's dig into cyberbullying and help the parents figure out how can they navigate this if this is happening to their child, or if their child is the cyber bully. What can we do?
I do think the first thing that parents have to be able to understand, they have to understand the digital landscape of social media and all of the different platforms that our students are interacting on. So you can't be against IG, you can't be against Facebook or TikTok. You need to create an account so you can go on and see exactly what they're interacting with, as well as to learn the lingo. Because if you're looking at your child's phone and they're saying a specific word, you don't know what that word means. You may think it's something simple, but on social media, it means something completely different. So I think exposing yourself as the parent to these social media platforms will help you stay current and educated on what your child is interacting with on a daily basis, so that you can kind of see and do temperature checks daily with your child.
And
It's also, oh, go ahead, Brittany.
I'm sorry. Also teaching your child not to hide behind the screen, because even as adults, we know that happens. We can hide behind that screen. We might not say that to somebody if we were talking to them face to face, but behind a screen or on a text message, we get real bold and we start saying things that we shouldn't say then, like we wouldn't say it if we were in person. So talking to your child about, if you wouldn't say this to this person face to face, please don't say it online or on a text or through the DMs or the messages, Nikki.
Yeah, because remember, we used to teach the kids, think before you send. Is it nice? Is it kind? Is it respectful? Things like that. Because once you send it, they think they're hitting delete, but we can still see it. It's still out there in the cyber world. It can be found by the sheriffs, the police officers on Instagram. So I think that's one big thing our kids forget about. They think, oh, I deleted it. They'll never find out. Yes, they will. It just take a few moments and we can find what you type. So I think the kids always think if I hit delete, it's gone. No, it's not. It's still there. Somebody could take a screenshot. They screenshot now. They screen record and things like that. So it's never gone. Once you hit send, that's it. So always think before you press send.
I think another thing. Go ahead. Oh, I was going to say, I think another thing that's important is teaching our kids not to subscribe to the other pages and the different things that they actually create to engage in cyberbullying. We know that they have a million fight pages. They have the T on XYZ school, and they'll post all of this information. I know at one instance when I was at an elementary school, there was an instance where child sent a picture of herself without a top on, and that became the tea of the school. And that picture was passed and shared over 450 something times, even though it had been quote unquote deleted. But if you teach your children, we're not even feeding into this. And I know sometimes we feed into the shade room and things like that as adults, but we need to teach our children that, passing that information along, whether they know that person or not, is very harmful, and they're playing a part in that cyberbullying too.
Yeah. So, like you said, and like what Brittany was saying also earlier, you have a different level of courage and boldness behind the screen where you would not say certain things. But I think also it's the factor of what is your intent behind posting something, behind communicating with someone. What is your intent? And if your intent is not a good intention, then it's more than likely you probably don't need to post it. I see that Tanya put in there that cyberbullying can be punishable by law as well, which is something that children need to know. Just like Angelica was saying that the children are sharing and showing other people and things like that. And both of my boys are in high school. And so I am faced with a whole different level of issues and concerns because now we have, and like I said, and it starts even before high school, but we have girls and boys taking pictures that are inappropriate and sharing it with the person that they like for that week. And now that person who doesn't care about them has shared that picture with several other people. So now you're looking at, in some cases, child pornography laws. I would say you're also, like you said, looking at doing an actual crime and actually having to get law enforcement involved in situations. But like I said, again, the best thing is to be able to know what's good to share and what's not good to share, and to have a conscience about what you're putting out there in the world, because you can't take it back. And my last point is the factor that when we have these conversations and things like that with our children, we have to make sure that they understand the severity of what they're doing and what they're posting, because like I said, they take everything as a joke. And like I said, I know there's many times that we laugh about silly stuff that we see on social media, but in the same instance, we know that those aren't our children. That's not someone that I know. So I can find enjoyment out of it, but that can also ruin someone's life at the same time, because that what was funny in the moment now is embarrassing. And now I'm being teased, or I'm being messed with by all the people at school. And so I have to make sure that the things that we are having, that they're sharing, that we actually have conversations with our children to let them know that that's against the law, and you can spend some time in jail, or you can have to pay a huge fine so that won't go on your record. And then that record follows you through your adulthood as well. So like I said, I think the conversation part of it is a very essential part, because we no longer live in the days because I said so. You have to have conversations to explain, because our children are very curious and they have more access than we did when because I said so was enough for me to say, okay. So I think we just need to be very mindful of that.
I do think we need to be mindful that it can happen to our children, right? We can't be naive as if, oh no, it will never happen to my child. Oh no, I know all of my child's friends and all of their friends' friends. We have to always be in the mind frame of it could happen to my child. If you just do a simple Google search, it will say over 50% of our students have had something said to them that was mean or harmful online. So I'm pretty sure someone's child who's listening right now has had something said that was not the nicest thing online, through social media, through a Google Doc, whatever the case may be. So I think ensuring that we're not so naive to where, oh no, little Haney, that would never happen to little Haney. No, it can happen to anyone's child, unfortunately, but like Ms. Gaff said, and everyone else before me has said, having that open dialogue, communicating with your children, as well as being proactive with their devices and checking behind them as well.
And also,
And-
you have to have your students or your child feel safe. My son went to a new school last year. I identified 3 people. Hey, if you don't feel safe telling your teacher, these are 3 people. One is my cousin, which I was glad about, the guidance counselor, and another teacher. If you don't feel safe in telling your teacher, go tell these people. So there is some type of safety guard at each school for the students. So parents and students, we have to feel safe and comfortable and know we're protected when we're reporting these things, to keep our students safe, and also to protect the other student, because they may not be aware. They need to just be educated of what they're doing and understand the seriousness of it. So I think that sometimes we follow the code and we say, I'm not going to report that, I'm not telling. Yes, this is something you should tell, so that everyone could be educated in the situation and it's dealt with accordingly, so it doesn't go beyond what it needs to go.
And like Nikki said, once it's out there, teach them. Once it's out there, you cannot get it back. If you delete it, sure, you deleted it from your side, but someone has either shared it, reposted it, took a screenshot of it. You can record from your phone on your phone. You can screen record on your actual iPhone now. So it's always out there. One of my favorite people in the district, Tanya Chapman, one of the best eye care specialists, she always uses this analogy of a toothpaste tube. When you squeeze it, you cannot put that toothpaste back into that same tube. It's going to be a mess. You can try, and a little bit may get back in, but it's going to be a mess to do it. So teaching your children that, hey, even adults, we sometimes forget as adults, when you type something and you hit submit or send, it's out there. You can delete it, but it's out there now in the interwebs, on Beyonce's internet, or whatever you want to call it. It is out there.
I think we also need to make sure that we pay attention to our children, because sometimes just their behavior and their body language says a lot of stuff that we don't even pay attention to, because we are so distracted by our devices and by work and by, television and all of these different things in the world that distract us daily, that we don't pay close enough attention to our children to know that something is not quite right. We need to have a conversation, or like Nikki said, I need to make sure that I reach out to someone else that I know who might be able to have a conversation with them, that they'll feel more comfortable sharing what may be going on with them, because sometimes we see stuff I would say we see things and we are like, how did that happen? I have no idea. I'm sorry, y'all. My child keeps calling on my phone.
I was just going to say, one way that might be a good way to introduce cyberbullying to younger kids is to talk about like restaurant reviews or Yelp reviews online. Like if a kid thinks Mary Lee donuts are the best ever, and then you show them, well, somebody said that they were yucky donuts and they didn't like them at all. And not only is this mean, it's someone's opinion. You can have that opinion, but it might affect their business. And so that's a way to kind of bridge the gap instead of jumping all the way to inappropriate pictures or inappropriate things to cover online, but just really help children understand the difference between opinions and fact. I know Jimmy Fallon used to have a sketch on his show where he would do Yelp reviews, and it would be the person's bad review and then the person, the restaurant owner responding. So I think helping children see that there are 2 sides to every argument, and teaching them it's okay to express your opinion, but if you put it out there, it's going to have an impact on someone some way.
All right, you guys. Parents, if you have questions, remember to place them in the chat. We are getting close on time, so I do want to cover this last topic, and then we could just have open discussion. So next, we want to talk about open communication. So what does that even mean? That's when people can openly express their thoughts and ideas to one another. This is something very important that I think as a parent, we should definitely encourage our students to have open dialogue with you about things like Ms. Gaff said. you should have open dialogue with your children. And we do have some resources, in the resources that we're going to share at the end to help guide you. If you need a script, it's hard, you hate to have these tough conversations, we have a script for you that you can follow to have those conversations with your students. But you can ask them, hey, I see you're on Roblox. What do you like to do on Roblox? Who are you talking to? Can you show me who are your friends? What are they saying? Can you show me the messages? What type of things do they say? What type of things do they do? Those are the type of questions you can ask, even on the other platforms that they're on. So I'll open the panel up to everyone else to discuss what do they have to bring to the table about the open discussions with the parents.
I think asking open-ended questions is the biggest thing. I know I was guilty of it whenever I was a kid. If my mom is listening, she can attest. She'll ask me, how was my day? And I'll just say, good. That was it, right? So instead of asking a yes or no question or a one answer question, what about your day was good? Tell me one thing that made you mad, one thing that made you happy, one thing that made you feel impassive, or whatever the case may be. Asking open-ended questions to get the conversation started between you and your child, I think it will be beneficial. And even just for anybody in your life, right? Sometimes we tend to ask the easier questions, not wanting to deal with the tough answers that may have to come up.
And
And
I
I think
want to say, it depends. I'm sorry.
go ahead, Felicia.
It depends on the age of your child. So, and actually knowing your child, because I can ask questions a million different ways, and my oldest son is going to still give me the okay, or whatever. My youngest son is going to tell me about every speck of dirt he crossed throughout the day, the birds, the trees, and every person and what they said verbatim. But like Alex said, you have to make sure that it's almost like trying to be a ninja with conversation, because you have to know how to, especially teenagers, how to sneak in the conversation, but not like you're trying to actually interrogate them, or that you're trying to find out information, because they don't want to tell you anything. But sometimes your child well enough to know this is a good moment. I'm gonna slide such and such in, and we could be talking about basketball, and I'd be like, "Yeah, well, did you hear so and so was talking about or was doing such and such and such?" And he'll just, because he's already in the mood of talking, he'll start having conversation with me. But if I just catch him out of the blue when he walks through the door or when he's walking through the house, he's not going to be as responsive to me that way. So you have to know your kids well enough to know what approach to take so that you can have these open conversations. But the main thing that I wanted to say is you have to make sure that you control your reaction to what they say, because your reaction is going to determine how much more information that you get from them. But if you overreact for every single little thing, they'll never want to tell you anything. But if you are calm and just like, oh, okay, really? Well, what did you think about that? They did that. Oh, I would say, oh, I hope their mama don't find out stuff. I mean, like I said, but it's still a way that you do it. Now, you may be mad and on fire about what the situation was, but your child has to be able to trust you with information too. And they may be sharing something that has happened with their friend that they don't want to be like they're ratting people out or snitching. So you have to be able to build a rapport with your child so that you can find out the information that you need to find out in a way that they don't feel intimidated or scared because of how you're going to react.
I will say, Felicia, the phase of playing the ninja question, it does wear out because I get all the tea now. I'm in the other phase with the other one right now, but the second one, 21-year-old, I get all of the tea. I don't even have to ask for it. It's just poured reading. So just keep ninja. Just keep shooting the questions out. That's right.
But like to say, guys, that I have a 10-year-old daughter, and being able to have rapport with a girl, it is harder than trigonometry, like, because you're consistently changing roles. And Felicia laughs at me all the time because when I'm talking on the phone with my daughter, she'll be like, "You and Chloe are so funny," because one minute we're like friends, the next minute I'm like, "Girl, go do your homework," and the next minute, I'm like, "Bye, girl." So but I like that we're able to go back and forth, but I'm constantly reminding her that because I hear all the on social media now. It's like, oh, but she said she wasn't my friend. When adults get older, like when the kids get older. So you want to be their friend enough to know that they can trust you to come and tell you something, but then you also have to let them know that at the same time, I'm your mother and I want the best for you. I'm looking out for the best interest, so I'm not gonna advise you to do anything that's wrong.
All right. So with all that being said, you guys just make sure you have open dialogue with your students about online safety, about interactions that they're having online. Let them know if they felt the kids know when they feel uncomfortable, you felt uneasy about something. Let your parents know. And parents ask the kids those hard questions and initiate those conversations with them, and even ask them, are they having problems with social media? Because the likes are big now. How many likes did you get? How many friends you have following you back and things like that? Talk to them about those things, because believe it or not, a lot of those simple things is how many likes that really stresses a kid out if they're into social media like that, or the other kids are gonna bully them because, oh, you only got one like on your post and things like that. Like, that's a big thing now with kids. So definitely make sure we're having those conversations with the kids, an open conversation. And like Ms. Gaff said, make sure they feel comfortable to have that conversation with you, to have those conversations, just to make sure we're protecting our kids. Like I say, it's probably not, you're not worried about your child, but you have to worry about the other people. You don't know who they are and what their intentions are with your kid.
I would say, and adults are just as concerned about likes and who see what and what they put out there. We are the best storytellers on social media about the life that we live. But like you were saying, the one thing that I wanted to tag on was about the factor of their friends. Even when you know that a friend is a bad influence on your child, that does not necessarily mean, because you don't want them to be friends with them, that they are going to stop being friends with them. So you have to be able to have communication and let them know, look, like I said, I have two African American boys at my house that are teenagers, and they are always with groups of boys. Well, I'm always terrified of what will happen if the police pulled them over, or if something went wrong somewhere and they tried to blame them. Even though I know that some of the children that they hang with are bad news and that there's always trouble when they're around, I still have to teach my child how to make good decisions on his own. You don't have to follow the crowd. You don't have to do what they're doing just because you are with them. And being able to make judgment calls on his own, because eventually he's not going to be in my house. He's not going to ask my permission to go places, to hang with people and things like that. So I need him to be able to have good judgment when he's on his own, to make those decisions for himself, what's in his best interest. And so we have to teach our children now, with everything, with using technology, with the people that they hang around, the way that they put themselves out there, or the way that I call it branding, how you brand yourself to the world. You have to make sure that you are trying to make a good impression, and not just a good impression on the next 12-year-old, 15-year-old, 18-year-old. You're trying to make a good impression on whoever is able to view the information that you are putting out to society.
And that's a good point, Ms. Gaff. We always talk to the kids about those digital footprints. Those are big these days. You have adults that have lost their jobs or could not get jobs because of things that they have posted and said online. So now some colleges, it may not give you a scholarship based off of your social media, things that you say and do online. So
are they lose scholarships because of things that they've done or said that's been posted online?
All right. Anyone else have anything to chime in on this last topic before we open up for discussions? All right, parents. So we do have some resources here for you. I have pinned and I'm dropping it in the chat for you as well. Check out those resources. A lot of the information that we talked about today is linked on this document. You can go and review that information to provide some more guidance. If you need help with conversation starters and things like that, we have that. We also have listed the poster contest if you want your child to participate in our poster contest. And then we do have the digital citizenship weekly activities that we're doing for the rest of this week. So you guys have any questions, just drop them here in the chat. We have a few minutes left before we exit the stream, so we can take a few questions if you have questions.
Or even share a comment.
Share about your experiences that you've been having with your child on social media. If you've been having any, I haven't let my child get on social media, but kind of sort of, because I think Roblox is a social media platform, but he just knows he should not have friends on there. No talking to people. And don't go into certain
You all, I would say, if you all know some tricks that we haven't shared that are very helpful, please share them, because we all will be able to use them in some way, shape, or form.
All right. Anybody on the panel have any last thoughts about our discussion while we're waiting on any comments to come in to wrap up?
I would just say to make digital citizenship an everyday practice in your home, just like you practice with your kids good manners when they're talking to people, washing their hands when they sneeze, using hand sanitizer, and being polite. Practice good digital citizenship within the home, whether it's, especially as a parent, setting an example. As far as, leaving our digital footprints out there and leaving a trail for people to enter into our lives when we may not want them. Just be a good example to your children.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Chapman. She said, I appreciate y'all doing this. There is a gap learning curve with me and my kids, but these tips were great. Thank you. No problem. You're welcome.
And I can't express enough about communication and being able to be aware of your child's body language, behavior, change in habits. All of those things are clues that something may not be right. And especially with the cyberbullying, making sure that no one is harassing them and that they are not the harasser.
Depression is the first sign. Because believe it or not, kids are cruel. They say some things to each other. They hurt their little feelings. So, all right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in and engaging with us. This hour went by. I feel like we just got on here and it's time to go. So thank you guys for joining us. Let us know if you want EdTech to do some more technology resources and trainings for parents. We definitely would like to engage more with parents and provide support to you guys. We would like you guys to come in sometimes to the professional development and get some hands-on training. We can teach you how to use Google. If you want to become tech savvy with Google, learn to use those resources to help with your job or anything like that, let us know. We're here to support students, parents, and our staff. So always reach out to EdTech. We're definitely here to support you guys. We're going to end this session. You guys have a great night, and hopefully we'll see you soon for another panel discussion.
Good night.
Night.